Ciao everyone and welcome back to Growth Talks. I'm Raf, your host, and my guest today is Pablo Mendes. Hi Pablo, how are you, man?
Ciao, how's everybody doing? Great to be here. Thanks
I'm
for the invite.
great. I'm great. Super excited for this. What about you?
Yeah, it's been a long time that I've watched the show. Wanted to be here, so thanks for having me.
Yeah, I've tried, I think, for at least maybe 3 or 4 months to do this episode with you, but we're finally here. I can't believe it. So super happy and super excited. Well, Pablo, we usually start, with a classic one. So very simple. The first question is just let's talk a little bit about yourself. So, what's your story? Who's Pablo? I don't know your background. What did you do in the past? What you are doing now? Anything that you think it's kind of interesting for my audience, and also to be the kind of the contest for this episode together.
Sure, yeah. Well, let's start from the beginning. I am originally from Brazil. I came to the US to do my PhD in computer science. I've been working in AI and topics in artificial intelligence since before it was cool. I've done a few different things there, starting from like the end of my bachelor's and my master's and through my PhD, and then after that in my work life. So the beginning of my research career was in universities. I worked in the Free University of Berlin for a while, and then I moved on to industry. So I worked for a research lab at IBM Research. We're working on the IBM Watson project, which is a project that did question answering that was famous for beating a human or human competitors on a TV show called Jeopardy, which is question answering. And so I worked on taking the results of that project to more customers and doing research to improve it over time. And then I decided that I wanted the startup experience. So I left this big research lab, joined a company called Lattice Data. We were doing information extraction, which is basically trying to understand what's in text and then extract facts that can be put in a database for people to do analytics and other things with. That company was acquired by Apple. So I worked at Apple for a few years where we were responsible for information seeking questions. So if you went to Siri or Spotlight and you asked like, how old is Obama? Or how many COVID cases around me? At what time does the Oscars ceremony start? All these questions about quote unquote anything, they would come to this question answering system, and we were responsible for several components there to understand the question and then to produce an answer. At that time, this was like way before ChatGPT. We were noticing how machine learning was evolving, and there was this big push around language models, right? The language models becoming better with neural networks, but also becoming larger. And we saw that like machine learning is going to change or is changing very rapidly. So that inspired me to kind of question a little bit the experiences that I was having in the world. At the time, I had my first son. My wife and I had our first son, and I was looking for, those things that you put like around a baby that's learning to crawl, so the baby doesn't just like run away somewhere. I didn't know the name for that, right? As a first parent, so I was trying to search for it in stores, and I just couldn't get anything useful. And I was like, thinking about language models and machine learning and AI. Like really, like search should understand us better, right? And I found out later it's called Playpen. There are many like different things that serve the same purpose, right? But Playpen was the one that I was trying to find. And then I was inspired by, hey, there's a shift in technology. Clearly, it's going to be really important for people to find things they want to learn about or they want to buy. So I decided to start a company with two co-founders, and we moved into a house with our families in Hawaii for 3 months. And it's kind of my co-founders and I locked ourselves in that house, and we hacked on our first prototype. while our families enjoyed the beach, and then we went fundraising, and kind of the company was born. I can talk more about that if you'd like later, but that's the story. That's the origin story, right? From Pablo in Brazil through research and then to the startup world. That's where I am now.
So you said that you started your the intro saying that you were working on AI and machine learning before it was cool. What do you mean by that? And also, why do you think it's cool now? What happened? What was the key moment in the whole AI ecosystem that made it cool suddenly?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I should preface that statement that I make in jest with, it's been cool and uncool and then cool again. so I work
like waves during the years. Okay.
Yeah, they call it like the AI winter is when it's like uncool, right? And then it comes back up again. But so way back in 60s or like way back in the 1900s, people were talking about AI and this guy at MIT, Marvin Minsky, famously predicted that AI is going to be solved very quickly. And it's 2023, and I don't think it's been solved yet, right? The artificial general intelligence. And I worked at IBM Research. I worked with Daniel Grohl, who was a student of Marvin Minsky. But back then, that first wave of AI, it became really cool because everybody was like, oh my God, machines, right? They're going to do all these things for us. And then I think it kind of hit a wall in terms of computing power and data availability and a few things. And then people are like, oh, actually it's not going to do what we think it's going to do yet, right? And then it started losing that kind of excitement around it. But then researchers moved on, or most researchers, I should say, moved on to like more practical things for the time. So new algorithms came up for how to train machines to be really good at specific tasks, right? So that's kind of when the machine learning, the AI terms started losing excitement, but then the machine learning term started gaining excitement, and it focused away from like, oh, let's do everything that humans can do, and focus to let's get the machines to do useful things for us, right? So you train a machine to a very specific task, typically would require somebody to sit down and label examples, so show the kinds of inputs and outputs that you need. And then there is an algorithm where the machine learns to repeat the output from given an input, and also how to, as much as possible, how to generalize to things that it hasn't seen before based on patterns that it recognizes, right? So that's like, there's a supervised machine learning area where it's this showing examples and learning patterns that needed engineers to then kind of show for each example, show the machine what are the important aspects for each example. So this is called feature engineering, right? So you're trying to like, okay, so if I'm trying to predict the price of a house, it's important to know if it has a pool. And it's important to know how many square meters. So you start describing all the characteristics, all the features that an example has in the input, and then the machine learns how to predict an output based on everything that has seen in terms of patterns across these features. Then, so that it was, there was a lot of interest in the technical community around that, but the general community, it was just like, as you probably like, if you're not a technical person, you heard my explanation now, your eyes probably glazed over a little bit. I'm like, where's this guy talking about all this nerdy stuff, right? And so it was like inaccessible to many people, or uninteresting to many people. And then there's this new wave that came after that, which people called deep learning, which is like this resurgence of neural networks where you don't have to do this feature engineering anymore. This process of like telling the machine what to look for, and you let the neural network learn the features from the examples, right? So when that was around 2012 or so, when it started getting really hot again. And then people are like, oh, there's so much more that we can do now. And then 10 years later, I'd say, right, or a little less than 10 years later from the deep learning era, then it's the large language networks era, where you don't even have to be a software engineer to tell a neural network to do something for you, because now the large language models understand English, right? Or quote unquote understand English, right? So you can get really useful things out of them. They're not super reliable. Sometimes they will come up with things that don't exist and it will do the wrong thing. But this idea of like it became cool again, I think it's very much related to who can now derive value from AI, right? At some point it was very, very technical people only, right? And then it became like, oh, more people, and now even more people. The barrier of entry, in a sense, to like program these AIs, right, or to like tell the AI to do something for you, that barrier of entry has lowered. So that's my hypothesis for like why it's blowing up now, right? There are some technical things that enable that, like transformers and GPUs and TPUs, et cetera. I could talk about that if you want to get into more technical things, but I'll stop here for now.
No, I like the the overview that you gave us, and you made the example, of the what's the name of the thing you were searching for? Okay, yeah. So you said that was maybe the, I don't know, the light bulb moment for you to see that maybe there was an opportunity in the market.
Mm-hmm.
What was the opportunity, and what you are doing on that? I mean, what's your company about?
Yeah, well, so our company is called Objective Inc. We used to be called Kailua Labs because we created the company and went to spend some time in Hawaii, in the city called Kailua over there. And we launched the company now with our forever name called Objective Inc. What we realized was the previous generation of search systems just wasn't focused around understanding what people are saying. It was focused around matching keywords in the query with keywords in, let's say, the product description, if we're talking about buying things, right? So then if you use a slightly different wording, or if you search in that example, if you search by the description of the thing you're looking for, if you just use slightly different words, you just don't find what you want, right? The insight was, hey, we need to really focus around understanding what the products offer or what the content contains, and we need to focus around understanding what people mean. And with large language models, there's a huge opportunity now that there's actually that kind of understanding available, not only for text, but also for images and video and audio and et cetera, right? So that's going to change things. So the idea of the company is, let's offer an API that's very simple to use. You put your data in, you put your text in, your images, your video, your audio, you put all of that into an index that we host as a service, and we give you an API that you can search. Or you can put that API in your app. You can put that API in your website, right? So when people go to your app, they type what they want. You call our API. We understand what they mean. We fetch the objects that match that, and we return them to you. And then you can show them to people, right? So we have people, some of our customers, for example, Dribble.com is a designer platform. That it's a community. It's a place to find work. It's a place to find inspiration. So people go there to search for designs, and they can express, like, I want like a coffee shop logo in the style of the Pacific Northwest, right? And you can just like pour your dreams into the machine and kind of let the machine work for you. And the idea is that, our API comes smart out of the box with knowledge about the world, and it continues to learn as people interact with it, right? So we shift the focus from, like, instead of programming them how to match words or how to match, what people are talking with what's in the documents, we shifted from that to, like, how can we help people achieve their goals through the use of an AI, right? That's the mindset shift that our API is bringing to the market. And I think what that's going to do is democratize access. So any full stack engineer can just save a bunch of time instead of having to learn, go there and like figure out how to connect a bunch of components to get this to work, which is, by the way, super hard to do. would just save you time. Hey, you need to solve a search problem in your app or in your website, so you just come and use our API and focus on achieving your goals. So that's the insight that we're bringing.
If you are enjoying this episode, please check out my lead generation course. You can watch it for free on gaito.link/skillshare, GAITO. As an entrepreneur, marketer, or business owner, you know how crucial lead generation is. In this course, I'll be sharing with you 20 proven tactics for lead generation in both B2B and B2C markets. You can watch it for free on gaito.link/skillshare, GAITO. You'll find the link in the description. And I suppose the idea behind it is that people don't need to use like keywords or a nerdy approach to search, but they just need to write it down in plain English. So I think about it, I write it down, and the system kind of understand what I mean by that, and it gives me the right information, the right answer.
Right. It enables that behavior, but also even for the keywords, right? So for now, if you went to search for photos and you said recession, let's say I have a slide deck for, my board, and I want to have like a nice picture that talks about the recession. If you just type recession and you search for a picture in a stock photo website, if you try to match the tag, you're going to find very few examples or none at all. But if you are able to understand the concept of recession and know that it has something to do with finance, has something to do with financial ruin, maybe, then you can find all these photos, and you can try that on our website in one of our demos for image search, and you'll see the difference of like keyword search with this kind of understanding. Even if you're using keywords, the deeper understanding of what each keyword means also leads to better results, right? And then beyond that, it allows you to search with more natural language, just speaking what's on your mind into the search bar.
There is something curious here, because I wrote a blog post maybe a month ago or something like that. Sorry guys, it's in Italian, but basically the blog post was about that. I realized that in the last months, I've not been using Google search anymore. And the reason is that ChatGPT became part of my daily routine. So it's always there on one screen, on a site. Every time I have like a question, every time I have a doubt, every time I need to search something or, to do something like this, my previous behavior was to go on Google, search for it, and then, go through the in the SERP in order to find the right link. But what happened in the last years is that at least in my experience, in my opinion, is that the quality of Google was, going down and down and down because of, too many ads, too many widgets, also too many, blogs and useless, stuff in results, people trying to sell you stuff with affiliated link. So it was really, really hard to find the right information. And also it was kind of time expensive. I had to go through 10 different links and, and search for it and find the answer. Now I go on ChatGPT, I write it down in plain English, on plain Italian, and the system understands what I mean and gives me the just that information, without all the noise, the background noise around it. Are those two things somehow related? I'm kind of thinking, is it a bottom-up process or a top-down process? So is it the technology that's changing and so we are adapting our behavior, or it's our behavior that is changing and so the technology is kind of, allowing us to do that?
Yeah, I think those are self-reinforcing cycles, right? So it's like, so if you look at like Google's trajectory when it was like, back then it was 10 blue links. It was very much keyword search. That was already better than what was before, which was just navigation, right? If you think of like Alta Vista, Yahoo back then, right? There were like a directory with categories. You need to go into the category, then look through the website. This is the one I want, right? So you were the search engine, right, manually. And then they moved to like, okay, now they can match keywords to the content. That was brilliant. And then, over time, they started inserting these features where it's like, you can also ask, and then there's like full questions with the answers underneath, right? Or started doing the auto suggest. So when you type a keyword, it shows you like longer completions, right? So that like you can click on that and then you start asking more natural questions. And that's good because when like what they're trying to do there is like bring the behavior to the market so that you can give them more information about what you actually want so they can understand you better. If you just give keywords, it's really hard to know what people mean, right? You say like you're searching for app, like are you trying to build an app, buy an app, or what's going on? But if you say, I would like to build an app, what is the best technology? Now they know what you want, right? And they can try to serve that. I think that where it got interesting for Google is like some of the circles that I'm in, people joke that Google's not a search company, they're an ads company with a good search engine, right? And I think they may have crossed the line there. But what you're saying is like, so I think the changing technology enables new things, and then people discover those new things, so they start changing their behavior, and that changing behavior then pushes the tech to adapt to that, and that generates this like hopefully virtuous, not vicious circle, right, where things get better and better. And that's very much kind of the part of the thing that we're really excited about. You talked about using ChatGPT instead of Google search. I think it doesn't end there. I think the conversational interface where you like type this really long question and then it answers you, at some point it may start asking you clarification questions as well, so you can refine what you're saying, and this like back and forth is a very intuitive interface for people to communicate. That's how I'm communicating with you. We're talking to each other, asking questions, asking clarification questions, telling things, right? But it's also not the only way that we communicate, and sometimes it's not the preferred way. So when I'm buying something, I walk into a store, I don't go directly to the clerk and explain everything that I want, and then they give me the thing, right? I will browse a little bit. Sometimes I will like search on my phone to see which aisle I need to go to save some time. Sometimes I will want to talk to somebody for advice, right? So I think similarly, the interaction, like the search interface that we're going to have with the way we're going to look for things through computers is going to have a mix of browsing, conversational, filtering, like this thing of like take me directly to the thing that I want to look at. And the way I see this happening is all the AI will disappear into the background. Right now you go into ChatGPT and then you do something, then you go into Google, right? So it's like the AI is very like localized, right? And I think that you need to know where to go to do the thing that you need to do. But in the future, like if you just think a few years ahead, I think everything's going to be powered by AI. Everything's going to be smart. Every website that you're going to go to is going to have some sort of AI behind it, right? And that's where we're also positioning ourselves with these APIs at Objective, that we're going to make it really easy for people to just use AI in their site in many different places, not just the search box. Search box is our start, but over time, more and more things, right? So I imagine a world in which you don't even know you're using AI anymore, but your life is just so much easier. It disappeared into the background. I can talk to things. I can ask questions. I can go directly to where I need. I can like smartly navigate through the content, right? So I just imagine this world where like it's just so much productive for anyone to get anything they need to get done, right? It becomes easier.
Maybe the experiments that Google is doing with BART and Microsoft with Bing are going in that direction. So where you have kind of the AI power integrated in the search engine somehow. I don't know if it's the right way to put it, but I feel like now AI is kind of a product. It's not the right word, but it's a product. In a few years, it's going to be a feature. So, or maybe it's already becoming a feature. I mean, if I open Notion, there is AI in Notion. If I open Canva, there is AI in Canva. I mean, it's everywhere now. There is a button. I click on the button. I can write stuff, and they generate images or copy or videos or anything that I need using API and third-party technologies. So that's the direction that you see on the market.
Yeah, I think it's like a product, then it's a feature, and then it's just table stakes. It's like you can't claim anything. Like I have AI. It's just like, oh, I have I use a programming language, right? Or like, it just becomes like something that exists and it disappears into the background. There's no point in calling it out anymore, because everything, if it's not powered by AI, it's just not good enough for humans to use anymore, right?
Yeah, it's there, and it's part of the experience, and you don't even know anymore that there is AI behind. Okay, and is there any apart from this one, any trends that you see in this whole, I would say, AI and especially search together? Something that is happening that you see from your point of view?
Yeah, I mean the two that I'm really interested in are multimodality, which is a nerdy word for content in different formats, right? So content in text, that's one modality, right? Or content in image format, or in video format, or in audio format. So the multimodality is the ability to understand content no matter how it's recorded, if it's in video or text or image, right? Which with neural networks, we're just getting better and better at doing that. And couple that with the fact that everybody has a cell phone now. Everybody's making videos. Everybody's consuming content like yours, for example, right? As they're driving, they're listening to some audio, or they sit in front of the computer, they watch the video with the images as well. They're reading your blog posts, which are, in Italian text, right? So imagine just with everybody carrying a cell phone, producing more content over and over again, and sharing that content through TikTok or Insta or whatever is the product of choice. Maybe stores are going to start collecting, photos and videos of the products that they sell while people are using and doing them. Right now, when I was looking for something for the pool, and I just found some random guy in Florida fixing his pool. I wanted to see like how exactly do I put the thing in, right? And so I found some user-generated content for that. So as people generate more content, it also becomes harder to just browse through it. You want to find the one that's relevant for you and find it quickly, right? So this ability to understand content in these richer formats like images and videos, and the amount of the amount of content in these formats increasing, the problem just compounds and the opportunity grows, right? So that's the first trend that I'm super excited about. And I have another one, but do you want me to talk about both of them or one at a time?
No, one at a time. Yeah, let's dive into this one.
Yeah. So that's the multimodality. That's basically more data being created, more opportunities showing up, and it becomes really hard and to deal with that as humans, to navigate that amount of content. And with large language models becoming smarter and smarter how to deal with these content, then now you can ask questions about it, you can navigate through it, you can get directly to what you want, right? Which is, again, part of the problem that we're trying to solve.
And what about the second one?
The second one was the fact that a lot of, as technologies start getting created and evolving, they tend to be at a lower level in the sense that you need like more technical ability to, if you think of the machine as being the lower level and the human being the higher level, we start at the lower level and we start building up, right? So the first generations of search engines, you needed to program how to match the keywords to the content. And as we go over time, you get to a point where you allow the programmers, the developers that are using the search engines, to focus on how to tell the search engine to achieve their goals. So, if you have, for example, an e-commerce website and you're trying to get people to the product that they need as quickly as possible so that they get to buy it and they don't waste time and get frustrated and leave and go to buy somewhere else, right? So you want to look at metrics like conversion rates, and you want the search to increase the conversion rate. So conversion rate here being somebody searches for something, then they click on something and then buy it, add to cart and then buy it, right? So you want people to be, that's a statement of success. The goal of the user was to find something to buy. They found something, they bought it, right? So that's the goal. Can we then let the AI learn without me having to program every single thing that the search system should do? could we just let the AI learn how to achieve that goal, right? And this is one type of goal. There are other types. Like sometimes you want to give people a diversity of things for them to browse through and get inspired by what they want to buy. Or sometimes you may want to keep finding more educational content to keep a student engaged in learning, right? So you can express your goals and have the engine optimized for those goals for you, which is, much more productive than having to then, well, okay, let me then program how this keyword matches this keyword, and if it does match, then how do I figure out how to put this thing on the top so that people can click on it. It's just a different way of thinking about it, right? Mm-hmm. So with the AI capabilities increasing, more and more applications will become goal oriented. Just like you will start programming the goals that you have instead of programming the details of how things are matched, right? Mm-hmm. And then you can do that over any kind of content, because the AI is becoming better at understanding images and text and all of that, right? So those are two trends that I'm really excited about on the more, I guess, technical side of it.
A quick question on the second one, because it sounds, I don't know, it sounds like super cool, and it also sounds like something that every company should do. Doesn't matter in which industry you work, so everyone should do that.
Yeah.
But there is a lot of discussion about the cost of AI, that right now it's kind of expensive to use part of the technology. You have to pay someone else for APIs. APIs are kind of expensive, and so on and so forth. So what's the solution? So are we gonna go to a point where it gets really cheap, or the alternative is that everyone is gonna build kind of their own internal AI, let's call it that way? What do you see that in the future?
Building is even more expensive than using. Right? I think very few companies will want to build this. It's probably easily 10x or more expensive, because you need to hire like very expensive engineers, and then you have to have the machines to train and the machines to run inference, right? To run at runtime. And then when you have these machines, now you need an infra team, and then you need a data team, and then and it's like it gets really, really expensive. So that's why we think it's a good idea to have to offer this API, because I think we actually lower costs, or I know that we actually lower costs by a lot. Now, even the cost of the APIs will also go down over time, because I think we'll have more machines, more GPU machines. We're a little constrained on the availability of machines now, right? So we'll have more of them and cheaper. Also, the models themselves will evolve to be able to run more cheaply, where there's a lot of research in how to get the models to be smaller, or even get the large size models to not need the full computation to get to an answer. So it's a lot of like really technical and really exciting things here. So I think that like all this is gonna just go down in cost over time and become more accessible.
Okay. So there may be several factors that now are impacting the cost, and everything is gonna go down in a few years maybe. So it's gonna be way more cheap, and also easy and accessible for companies to use that.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. And I was thinking, do you see any? Since you said that you give us the example of one of your clients, that is, what was the platform? Dribble, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So do you see any? I would say, what are they looking for at the moment? I mean, companies that want to integrate this kind of technology inside their product. So it means that they have the brand is a good brand. They have been there on the market. They have a community. They have an audience. The audience trusts them. They have a product. Maybe it's a cool product. What's the reason why they decide to do the next step, and now it's time to to have some of this technology in our product? Why they do that?
Yeah, I wouldn't want to speak on behalf of any of our customers, but I think in general, what a company that comes to talk to us in general, what they want is they want to speed up their time to market, right? So they want to get to great technology really fast. And, our team has built this kind of technology for years. We have people who were at Apple, that were at Google, Video, YouTube, and Twitch, Amazon, right? So there are we've made a bunch of mistakes over time, learned from them, and we're building this technology. We carry a lot of the weight of the infra and all that stuff, right? So people come to us so they get velocity to get to that, so they can get the users to have a better experience, so the users can engage more, and then they can learn from that engagement and continue to provide better experiences for their users, right? So it's like trying to set up that cycle where, where like things get better, the behavior changes, and learn from that, and they become better over time, right? So it's like trying to set that up such that it generates this marketplace happiness, right? Where people are getting value from the app or the website, and they are then getting more excited, and they're using it more, and then and it goes from there.
Marketplace happiness. I love it.
Yeah, I didn't create that term. I believe I'm borrowing it from Sarah Tavel, I think, or maybe mispronouncing the name as well. I only read it and never had to say it, but I can look it up and give you the source. But I also really liked it when I heard it.
I love it. And you said that you also made a bunch of mistakes during the way. I always love to talk about lesson learned. So is there any, I don't know, something that was kind of, that now you can say, oh, yeah, we were completely wrong on that. Some important lesson that you guys learned during your, the last couple of years when you were building your technology and your startup?
Yeah. I think one of them that everybody makes is all this stuff is really exciting. Engineers love new things, right? It's like, I want to try this out. And then you try a model for a demo, and then, oh my God, it works surprisingly well, especially if you worked with machine learning in the previous generation. And then now you're coming to this, LLM or stuff that comes pre-trained, right? With a lot of data about the world. I had no idea that I was going to be able to do this. And they're like, great, let's put this in prod. And then it's, wow, it's like completely a different world because it doesn't run fast enough, right? You can't rely on the outputs. It will make mistakes that you didn't expect it was going to make, right? And going from that like impressively good to like actually really good in production for your customers, it feels like it's 20% of the work of the, it's already 80% good, so there's only like 20% to do. That's actually like more than 80% of the actual work that you need to do, right? So it takes a long time, and it takes a lot of expertise and lessons learned. So that kind of, hey, we think we're almost done, and then you're like, no, not at all. That's one of the mistakes that I think a lot of people make, and we definitely made in the beginning. The other one is just scale. Like infra is just really hard, and it becomes harder when you have machine learning and AI in the middle of it. Then by scale, I mean just being able to deal with high throughput, like with lots and lots of volume. Like lots of people are asking questions at the same time or searching at the same time, and doing that fast. Every response needs to come back really fast. So all of that stuff, we have great people in the company. So that's a lesson we had to learn before, but like to get things to run really fast at scale was really tough when I started with us. The other one I think is quality evaluation is way harder than anybody thinks. And this goes for technical people and non-technical people. Like just defining what good means, right? So I remember like I was doing some research, I don't know, over 10 years
Do you mean
ago.
quality in the results? Quality of what?
Precisely, yeah.
Okay.
Like so people say like, okay, I want a really good system, and every time I send a search result, I want to get only good things back, right?
Okay.
Very easy, right? Then you ask like, okay, so what does good mean? And then putting that in words is tough. And sometimes it's even tough to like ask people to point out which ones are good or bad, and then show another person and ask them to do the same. And then if you do this with like 5-7 people, they don't agree on everything, right? It's like there's lots of subjectivity that goes into this. So the act of evaluating quality or of a system or of a product is just very difficult to get right, and something that we've been working on for a real long time, and we have good results, but it's difficult. And people just underestimate. And when I talk to people, so I'm talking to prospective customers all the time, and I'll ask them, hey, how's your search? Are you pretty happy? I'm like, yeah, it's pretty good. And then I'm like, okay, let's try a few examples, right? So I open and we're trying, and I don't say anything. I just show, and they're like, oh yeah, that's actually not good. And it's because it's hard to track quality, so most people just don't do it. They look at a few examples, they think it's like, this is pretty nice. It works for the examples I tried. But there isn't a rigorous, let's collect, 1,000 examples and just make sure that, 99% of them are good, or just try to put a framework around it. Scientists do that all the time, but it's hard to budget time to do that kind of stuff for every single aspect of your product, because you're just building, right? You have requests coming from users and all that. So this is one of the things that we want to also make it a lot easier for everybody. Is just how do you track and improve quality over time, right? So that's a key thing in our vision as well.
And I was thinking, you said that if you ask 5 different people what's good and what's not, they will not agree. But I mean, that's maybe the best part of being humans, right? I mean, we don't agree because maybe you and I and someone else, we take a look at those results, and for me the first one is good, for you it's not, because you have a different, I don't know, story and background, and stuff like that. So I don't know, I'm thinking, maybe, I don't know, my question is that, is there a unique solution for that, or there is no point of searching for a unique solution for that, because we have to be kind of I don't know, to have different approaches and different ideas and in the way we evaluate quality?
Yeah, I mean, on the technical side, people call that personalization, right? It's how do you allow the system to adjust to the definition of quality or the definition of good that Raf has versus Pablo, right? So it personalizes to you. But if we can get philosophical for a minute, right?
Let's go for it.
If we push this all the way to the limit, there's this problem of AI alignment, which is essentially, imagine if the AI can do things if it already does things better than me, right? There are certain topics that if Raf asks ChatGPT, it will give you a much better answer than Pablo, could do as a human, just because I don't have that kind of knowledge, right? And the AI brain can fit so much information, and it can read so much faster than I could read, right? That it's easy to imagine how the AI is going to get smarter and smarter and eventually surpass the amount of information that it can store and the amount of questions that it can answer correctly. And it will get to this superhuman ability, right? Where we need now, the best source of information for anything that we want is going to be an AI, right? And imagine now the AI can not only answer questions, but perform actions, and they become the best, solution for performing an action for us. And they start taking over more and more of the things that we need to get done, which is super exciting and in some ways scary situation to be in, because, what if they tell me the right thing to do is whatever, and I don't know if that's the best thing or not, because I don't understand that topic. So I need to do I trust the AI or not trust the AI, right? So if we continue to kind of play through that vision, right? The AI is doing more and more things. It's more capable than most individual humans. It's probably at some point capable than all the humans put together, right? And now, how do we know that the decisions that the AI is making on our behalf are actually good for us, right? And how do we control a being that's smarter and learns faster and moves faster, right? So the AI alignment problem is like, how do we get the AI behavior to match what we consider to be positive for us as humans, right?
Yeah.
So that I think for me is the ultimate challenge. I could see the AI substituting lots of human labor, and I think that the very last profession that's going to be left is one where your job is to ensure that the AI's interests, I'm kind of personifying a little bit, but the AI's decisions are aligned with what we want humanity to be and become and evolve to be, right? So anyways, it got really philosophical real fast, but this is something that, like, it's really exciting and scary. Is that like when the AI is doing everything for us, right?
Yeah. I see your point, and I'm also reading and listening to a bunch of stuff on that problem, and sometimes it's even harder to define the problem, to ask the questions, because of course, when we talk about alignment and values, and they are also different. I mean, for two different countries can have different values and goals and ideas. So it gets even harder on that. But yeah, as you said, it's kind of maybe super excited and also super scary at the same time. And
yeah. And your previous question was like, how do we know that we are? I guess the way I interpreted the question was like, is there a one solution?
Yeah.
Like we're talking about search at that time, right? Like search and then quality. Is it good? Is there something that's good for everybody? Probably not, right? We're probably different cultures, different backgrounds, different people. We're all going to think different, and what's right for us is different from what is right for another group or for another person. And then I was talking about aligning the AI with humanity, but humanity is not one thing, right? Humanity. So now how do you then align in a way that, I was going to say pleases everybody, but maybe pleasing is not the right thing to do. It's more like do the right thing for everybody, right? It's it's fascinating. So
yeah, it is.
Big topic.
Yeah. I love it. Look, Pablo, we usually, before saying bye, we close these conversations with two questions that are now kind of part of the show. So tools and books. So do you have any books that you want to share with us, with my audience, something that you are reading right now, or something that you have read in the last, couple of months, or I don't know, your favorite book, whatever, something that you think can be interest for people that listen to this podcast?
Yeah, a ton. I mean, if you were interested in any of the things that I said here, you're probably going to like to read some of these books that I'm going to suggest. If you just thought it wasn't interesting, maybe don't go there. But one of the books I loved was The Alignment Problem. That book is by Brian Christian. Incredible. Talks a lot about. It goes actually into some of how the tech works, which is interesting, but at a level that's easy to digest. But it talks about alignment. The other book, this one is kind of like off the beaten path. It's called Mana by Marshall Brain. It's actually available for free online. It's very short, and it talks about kind of a few different routes that AI could take us. I don't want to say too much so I don't spoil. But and if you read it for free and you like it, buy it so that the author gets some money off of it. But it's I enjoyed it. I read it like 10 years ago, and I was talking with my coworkers about whether we programmers were ever going to be replaced by AI. And I remember 10 years ago, I said, no way. That's like, we're going to be the last ones. And now there's like Yeah, Copilot, and there's Cursor. There's like all these tools that like actually like do pretty well at writing code. So I was wrong. I also like The Coming Wave by Mustafa Suleiman, and I mispronounce people's names all the time. I apologize, but he's a former DeepMind. He also talks about challenges with AI becoming more and more powerful. So that one was also very eye-opening and really interesting. And for entrepreneurs, so that's on AI side, but for people that like want to create their business or are creating their business or just are interested in the topic, I like Built by Tony Fadell, the one of the core guys on the product side for the iPhone and the iPod first, and then more, and Nest after that. And I also like this book about marketing called The Ask You Answer. It says a lot of simple things that like everybody should just like understand and be doing, but somehow we don't,
Yeah.
Like, if your customers are asking questions, like your website probably should answer those questions, right? So there's a lot of like comments there that I really enjoyed. It reminded me like to do a better job with all that stuff. So
Cool.
that's my list of books.
I'll leave all the links in the description, guys. So everything is going to be here in the descriptions. And on the tools side,
On the
do you
tools
have any cool tools that you use with your team in your day-to-day, job?
Yeah. Shameless plug for our search API if you're trying to search through any kind of content. But let me think. One thing that was surprising for me when we started was I used the Google Suite, like Google Docs and Sheets, because we wanted Gmail for the company, so we bought all of that. And then one of my co-founders was like, "We need to be using Notion," and it was weird in the beginning, and I tried it, and all of a sudden I found out we're using Notion for everything. Like we track like CRM and candidates, and there's so much going on there. I don't think the full team is sold on that yet, but like it's like I'm impressed by how much usage, like all the different types of ways in which we used it. And so I think that's the tool that comes to mind. I mean, obviously, the coding, if you're a coder, like all the coding tools that help you to write code faster, definitely give a productivity boost. So if you're not doing that yet, I highly recommend you start playing with them. And I think those are the ones that come to mind now.
Cool. Nice. And I totally agree on Notion. I mean, my whole life is organized with Notion. I love it. Okay, so Pablo, where can they find you, read you, follow you? Do you have any useful links you want to share with us?
Yeah, so the company is at objective.inc. We use this, what I think is very exciting new top-level domain that not many people use. So objective.inc is the company. And then there are demos and all that. You can sign up for the wait list and chat with our team there. And I'm on LinkedIn, Pablo Mendes. Feel free to connect, write something about how you heard, so I know where you're coming from. You're not just a random person. So always happy to chat about anything. I'm on Twitter as well, Pablo Mendes.
Nice, cool. And all the links are going to be in the description below. Pablo, thank you so much for your time. It was great.
Thank you. Loved it.
Have a good one.
Good work, Raf. See ya.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the podcast. I hope you enjoyed it and you learned something new. Make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube and Spotify to stay updated on new episodes. With your support, I can continue to bring great content and great guests to this podcast. So hit the subscribe button now and I'll see you in the next episode.